Welcome to Bootstrappers, a program designed to bring you up-to-the-minute ideas and concepts to understand what it takes to succeed in business and life. Each week, we'll bring you guests and ideas you can't find anywhere else. Bootstrappers is a production of Anequim, LLC. Now let's lace up those business boots and join Bootstrappers with Jeremy and Gwen Aspen.
Welcome to this episode of Bootstrappers. I'm your host, Jeremy Aspen, president of Wistar Group here in Omaha. This is my spouse, Gwen Aspen. She's the president of Anequim. Here at Bootstrappers, we talk to successful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, community leaders about what they've learned through the trials and tribulations of running organizations, and we help apply it to our industry of residential property management and life generally. The concepts and tips that are shared on Bootstrappers apply to anyone starting a business, working at a business, or aspiring entrepreneurs, and just life. So let's get hungry, let's break some things, and this is Bootstrappers. Today, we're here with Peter Fink. Peter is actually a buddy of mine. He's the Prez of Certified Transmission, according to your LinkedIn profile, which short for president. it's the informal. That was the informal way. Okay. So if you're not. If you aren't here from the Omaha area, you may not have heard of Certified Transmission, but if you're here in Omaha, you most certainly have. It's a household name. Peter's company, Certified Transmission, is annual sales of about $100 million per year. So that's Peter. And what's most interesting to me and to you and our viewers, I think, listeners, is that Peter transformed an industry. That's what I really want to get into. I mean, to change an industry is such a big deal, and something very few of us get a chance to ever actually do. What does it look like? How do you know if it's even a possibility? And there's just no playbook when it comes to paradigm shifts. And to top it off, Peter's a great guy. You don't think of Peter when you think of, people like Peter when you think of industry giants, but you'll see what I mean when you meet him. And Peter doesn't know this, but I also would consider him one of the people I admire most in business, but also life. He's a businessman. He's a family man, pilot, adventurer. He's a pilot. Means he's
that really
brilliant.
Gets you excited.
Pretty smart guy. He's a car guy. Holy shit, is he a car guy? And he's one of those guys that just sucks the marrow out of life. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Peter Fink. Thanks for joining us, Peter.
Yeah,
That's you. That's you, man. Well, that's what it's like when everyone else looks at you, when they're looking at you, and not from the inside out.
We're so excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, really are. So Peter and I, we've known each other for a couple of years. I've known a little bit about his company and whatnot. And it is a really fun story. Not just the story about the company, but also just, how it all came about. So I kind of want to start there. I mean, you're from Omaha?
I don't know if we got enough time.
I suppose not. We'll do the Cliff Notes, which is what I prefer to read anyway. So you were born in Omaha?
Oh, yeah.
And
born and raised.
And went to school?
Went to Creighton Prep, high school. Didn't go to college.
Okay, I want to ask about that. And then, so you start up a business, or how do you get into transmissions? Because on your LinkedIn profile, you've been doing this business for 41 years.
This is 41 years this year.
So that means you were, because you were pretty young. Yeah, starting out.
Yep. Well, how it started is going to Creighton Prep, and I bought a hot rod car when I was 16 years old. Okay.
Which one?
Well, I didn't actually get the car I wanted, 100%, okay? The first car I tried to show my dad when I was 16, usually, teenagers have to get the okay from the parents or whatever and stuff, and showed this purple Challenger 426 Hemi to my dad, 1970. I brought that thing home, and he said, you're not buying a 426 Hemi Challenger. And I go, well, I want this is what I want. No, you ain't buying a plum crazy purple Challenger. Okay. So the next car was a 429 Boss Mustang, red one. orange one. Okay,
a Boss Mustang.
Yeah, 429.
How did you afford it? Hold on a second. How did you afford this?
Well, I was working since I was 10 years old.
Okay. So you had money saved. You were paying for it?
Oh, yeah. I was paying for it. And that's the part I didn't understand. Dad said, no, you can't buy that. And I go, it's my money. Okay. No, you ain't getting that. So I had to settle for a 1970 Formula 400 Firebird.
Aww.
Okay. And it ran good. It ran good. I still own it today. Never sold it. And it was a 4-speed. And since it ran good, you know what happens when things run good? You find a way to break it.
Yeah, I just got 1962 Willys.
Oh, well, you break it a lot.
Oh, it's broken.
That thing is that's a giant money pit.
Oh,
we can't even talk about that thing anymore.
That was probably the same as this Firebird. It wasn't only because I was beating the heck out of it, okay, and stuff, but since, you know what I blew up the most of? Transmissions.
Oh, did you? Because you're going balls to the walls.
Yeah. And buying the car, I didn't have a whole lot of money to pay anyone to work on it, so kind of had to learn how to do it on my own. So that's how I kind of started, and then went to trade school and stuff.
Oh, you went to trade school?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I did go to trade school.
Okay, and specifically for transmissions?
No, it was for automotive. It was Wichita Automotive down in Wichita, Kansas. And literally a lot of great things came about because of that. That's how I really got into transmissions. The first class I got stuck into was transmissions, and I hated transmissions. Oh, the miserable pieces of junk. I'll tell you what. And if you think people can't make a difference in young people's lives or any people's lives, okay, this instructor, I don't know what he's seen in me, but he rode me like there was no tomorrow, and he got me to love transmissions, okay, and stuff.
Really?
And I was actually the last class he taught, okay, and then he opened up a transmission shop, okay, and stuff. And so he got me to love transmissions. Like I said, I hated those things. I blew up transmissions like they were right and left. Those were miserable pieces of junk, okay, as far as I was concerned. And he got me my first job as a transmission guy at a dealership. And so
was that here in Omaha?
No, down in Wichita.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to school in the morning from 7 to noon, and then worked at the dealership from 1 to 6. Then in the night, I worked at the transmission shop for him. Okay, I did that for about 18 months to learn transmissions. Okay, and stuff. And that's right when front wheel drive was coming out. Today, everyone's got front-wheel drive, but back then, nobody wanted to work on them. Well, I was the dumb 18-year-old kid, didn't know any different. I said, I'll do it. Okay, and so they sent me to Detroit and learned the front-wheel drives and everything.
They sent
Chrysler
you to...
did.
Okay.
Dealership
So this was an OEM kind of shop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, at the dealership. I was at the dealership.
Right, okay.
So OEM training and stuff. And then when I graduated, I said I'm ready to go full-time to work at the dealership. And luckily, they didn't match my offer, okay, I think I started out for like about $3.25 an hour, okay, working. Mm-hmm. And after about 18 months, I was up to $7 an hour, okay. And a mechanic pay was like 11 or 12, and I said, okay, transmission work is a mechanic pay. I want $11 an hour like everybody else. Well, we can't pay you that. You're only 19 years old. And I go, well, what's my age got to do with it? Okay?
I'm worth it.
I'm the only guy doing all the front-wheel drives. You sent me to Detroit. We're doing them for 4 dealerships. And they said, no, we'll give you 8. And I said, well, if you don't give me 11, I'm going to pack my toolbox and leave today. So they didn't pay me. I went to go work full-time for the transmission shop. And so then when I did that, when I was working for them at night, I only had to build them on the table, or the bench we call it, okay? The transmission was already removed from the car. And so no problem, I took them apart, rebuilt them, put them back together. And then when I went to work for him full-time, he wanted me to start pulling them out of cars and putting them in. No problem, I did that at school, I did that at the dealership. The only difference is he didn't own a lift.
Oh.
I had to do it on my back. We had to jack it up, put jack stands underneath it, get on a creeper, and pull the transmission out. And I did that for about 3 weeks. And I talked to him, and I go, okay, Don. I said, Don, I only know of a couple things you do on your back, and this ain't one of them, okay? And so, I said, you got to buy me a lift. He said, I ain't buying you a lift. And he said, I've done it for 20 years. You'll get better at it. I said, it takes me longer to get the car up than it does to get the transmission out. I said, no, you don't buy me a lift. I'm moving back to Omaha and open my own transmission shop. So he didn't buy a lift, and so I moved to Omaha, and I had $1,000.
So it actually worked out better.
Yeah, I had my toolbox, $1,000, and a $900 rent payment due the next month. So kind of had to get to work.
Did it have a lift in it?
It had 2 lifts.
Okay. Oh, so You had $1,000 saved, which in today's dollars is $3,000.
Whatever, it's not a lot. You know,
And you had the lifts. Okay.
It had the lifts. Okay, so that's how I kind of got started in this crazy business.
And so originally, was it called Certified Transmissions?
You know what? My instructor Don called his business Certified Transmissions, and so we had a great relationship, and still did till he died, okay, or whatever. Matter of fact, he came to Omaha, and I hired him for 1 year to train some of my guys because he was so good, okay, and different things. And so, and they still work for me. A lot of those people. I mean, they still know him from 25, 30 years ago, okay, and stuff. And you know, he. I forgot.
Well, we were talking about the certified transmission, the name of it.
Oh yeah, he called it Certified Transmission. So I asked him, could I really love the name, and I said I'd love to call my place certified. He said sure, go ahead. Well, he never registered or anything. As soon as I knew a little bit more about business, then I registered the name, of course, in the state of Nebraska, and then nationally also, and trademarked it. Okay, stuff.
You didn't pull the McDonald's story, did you? Or you went back to the
Absolutely
hometown?
not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
If anything,
You guys had it better.
I borrowed him some money, and I think I never got paid back. Okay.
Oh, good.
That's okay.
Okay,
It's all good. It's all good. Nope. I owe everything to him, and truthfully, I had a lot of, I'd say, if things would have really went the other way, probably wouldn't be sitting here today. Okay, if they would have gave me that raise, if I didn't get Don as a teacher, in school. Okay, and like I said, oh my God, what can teachers and mentors make a difference in people's lives? It's incredible.
If you don't,
I'm a living proof of that. Okay.
And it's nerve. Like if someone ever asked me, like, what would you do if you went back in time? What would you change? I get fearful. I don't think I would change a thing. As many bad things as may have happened, I'm not taking any of it back because it all led to my wife.
Well, and that's
me being able to be married to her.
The other crazy thing was you bring up leading to your wife. Well, when I worked at that dealership, the service manager, the head guy, he used to drag race. Well, that's what got me into this crazy thing, was drag racing my Firebird that I got. And so, hey, weekends I ain't doing anything. I'll work for you. I mean, on your pit crew for free, okay? And so we traveled the country and blah, blah, blah. So on the weekends when we weren't out racing, I was over his house on the weekends working on the race car with him. And so I look out the garage and go, who's that blonde out there? Okay. And he goes, I don't know. I said, well, I want to know. Okay. Well, to make a long story short, 37, 38 years later, she's
still got the ring on.
Yeah. So, I mean, Wichita and that green Firebird that I got, and I don't even like the color green, okay? It's responsible for everything I got. I mean, from my business to my wife to school to everything.
Did I ever tell you the story about how the Firebird got its hood?
No.
Okay, so we can tell. Well, I'll tell you really quickly. It's kind of a cool story. So Gwen's grandfather, he was actually the chief engineer of Pontiac with DeLorean.
Told me that.
Yeah. So one day, he and John DeLorean are traveling down to Mexico. Well, they're through Tucson because that's where a lot of the assembly is. So they're coming through the Tucson, Arizona airport, and they're at the time trying to figure out how are we going to make this car look different? How are we going to make this a distinguished vehicle? So Bill is walking through the airport.
That's my grandfather.
That's her grandpa. Sorry, and he sees those wooden like little statues of the Phoenix or whatever it is. Right. So they're walking through, and one of them looks like the hood of a car. Wow. So, and since it's on their mind, that's what they're trying to do. Right. He picks it up. He buys it for $1.19. He takes it up to the engineers, the paint, whatever, up there in Detroit. He says, put that on the hood. And that's how the Pontiac Firebird got its head. Isn't that cool?
It is cool. It is cool.
So you're in your first shop.
Yep.
It's your shop. You've got 2 lifts. And apparently things are going well enough you got to have a second shop.
Yep. Well,
how did that happen?
Yeah. I had friends that were a lot older than me, always in high school and everything else. And one of my good friends was an attorney, and he's seen me get growing pretty quick at the store, and he goes, what about this Amco? Okay, this other business, obviously, and they're a franchise. And he said, do you think you can do that? And I said, well, I don't know how to do it. Okay, but I mean, I know how to build transmissions. And he said, well, I think you can probably look at that. But he goes, you got to open a second one to prove that the concept will work. Okay.
Is that Amco? Or AAMCO?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I got it. Okay. That was you.
No,
Okay, it was.
That
Okay.
was a competitor.
Okay.
But they franchised and, very successful across the country, had 700 franchisees, or whatever, and things like this. And so he goes, you think you can do that? And I go, well, I think I can run shops, and I don't know anything about franchising, I was about 21 years old then,
Okay.
and stuff.
Don't
and,
know much about anything except cars cars.
women, girls, whatever, okay.
Chasing
sell
those,
them
yeah.
short.
No, you have to have the cars so you can
things
chase
I
them.
still only know, okay. I know to make the wife happy. That's what I know. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Another subject. Okay. So, all right. So he said, well, if you're going to try to do this, you got to open up another shop somewhere else. And so I go, what do you mean? He goes, I said, in Omaha? He goes, no. He said, it's got to be further away because in Omaha, that wouldn't prove that your system would work or whatever. So I said, Lincoln, Nebraska? He goes, yeah, that'll work. So I go down there and I look for a building one weekend and rented another building. Okay.
And this is after a thorough market study. I'm assuming.
God, yeah. Totally. Got a building, hired some people, put in what we started to do, how I was running my first one, and implemented it. And interesting thing happened, when I did that. It was successful within about 6 months, or maybe even a little quicker. It was right away, so I go to my attorney and I said, okay, I did it. It's making money. Hey, can we franchise? Okay. It goes, oh, that didn't prove nothing. You're too close to Omaha. Your name carried and stuff. I go, my name, I just started. Nobody even knows who I am, or certified transmissions. And he goes, it was too close, and stuff. And so he said, you got to open up the third one. And I go, okay. So he said, farther away. And I said, Kansas City? And he goes, yeah, okay, that'll work.
Again, after thorough market studies.
And I was flying at that time. I was a pilot.
Oh, okay.
So,
At 21.
I flew down there with my little plane, my Cherokee, and flew
140?
around the neighborhoods, Yeah, that looks pretty good. So,
That's what you did?
Yeah.
And ever since then, the plane's been a tax write-off.
It got sold. That was a long time ago. But, regardless, So, opened up a third shop. Well, underestimated marketing. Lincoln was easy to market because it's a smaller town than Omaha. Didn't cost so much. Omaha, cost quite a bit. Go to Kansas City, 3 times the size of Omaha. Guess what the advertising bills are?
3 times the size?
Yeah, at least, if not more.
Let me do that math.
Yeah, okay. And,
So when you were doing this, were you writing processes and procedures? Was it formalized like that, or were you just going there showing people how to do things?
you know why people become technicians? Because we don't like to read or write stuff down. No, absolutely
It was
not.
all right here.
Yeah, unfortunately, and stuff. That is a great weakness of mine, and stuff. But
Which I think you've compensated for with.
well, possibly.
Okay, all right. We're gonna find out.
Try to work on it,
Yeah.
and stuff. And so, open the third shop, but oh my God, can't afford advertising. So I said, if I'm going to even stand a chance down here, I got to open a fourth shop.
In Kansas City.
In
So you
Kansas
didn't
City.
back down. You're like, ooh.
Oh, yeah,
Because
no.
you could use the same marketing dollars for 2 shops.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
So I said, okay, so we opened another one 6 months later, real quick, because, like I said, I couldn't afford it. So then, to make sense, open another shop when you can't afford
Right,
it.
okay. Makes sense.
So got that going, and then realized, a new snag that came about was it was hard to have the same quality at every location. And stuff.
Because
That's when your standardization.
That's when standardization really started to kick in. I was looking at it even at the third shop already and realizing it. And what would happen is some of the other facilities that I wasn't at, they would buy cheaper parts. And cut corners, and stuff, and not put the quality and buy the best parts that money can buy and things like this.
What about
Made
training?
them profitable, but your warranty rate goes through the roof. And
Later.
your customer satisfaction obviously goes out the window also. People don't believe you get what you pay for. Oh my
I
God.
totally believe
I
that.
mean,
yeah.
sometimes you can get taken advantage of, Don't get me wrong, And that's not what we're talking about. But do you really think a part that costs $500 and then there's a knockoff that costs $50 is the same quality
no.
part?
They're totally different metal alloys, I'm sure.
Everything. And it isn't about parts. It's about anything you buy, Do you really think, there's a reason something costs a lot more? It's not the same. People will try to pretend they're the same, but they're not.
Anything to do with people? Like people, were they all trained exactly the same?
Well, they
or-
were fairly trained the same. Okay, we were pretty involved there. Okay, and had the same training and things like this, and used the same seminars and books and things. Okay, so that wasn't as much of a factor. It was really the quality of parts. Okay, and stuff. All right, and so then when I realized this, I said, okay, if we're going to be more successful, I've got to stop and bring in to go to what I'd call a centralized rebuilding, where I bring all the rebuilders in one facility, standardize it, have cross training, and we all use the same parts, and then distribute it to the stores. Because truthfully, if you think about it, our business is actually two kinds of businesses. One is manufacturing or remanufacturing the transmission, where you need the quality and the standards and the quality parts. The second is taking care of the customer, and removing the transmission out of the car and putting it back in. Two separate deals, but before they were combined into one business model under one roof. So I said, we're going to separate this. That way, the box, we a lot of times call a transmission the box, because you can take it out of the car and it's a standalone piece, is standardized. We're going to take that widget, and won't have factors of what's in it, the quality, we can test it, we buy the best parts, all that kind of stuff. And now all people have to do is take them in and out, and stuff. So that opened the model for me to open more retail stores.
So I have a question about this.
Yep.
The when you have transmissions, you have Ford, are they all totally different, or are they pretty much the same?
Great question, and I do get that question quite a bit. In essence, they work the same by theory of operation, but they are completely different. You can't take a GM, put it in a Ford, or even the parts interchange or any of that kind of stuff. What I mean is hydraulic works the same if it's in brakes or transmissions or in the space shuttle. Electricity works the same in a Volkswagen as it does a Yugo, as it does a Mercedes. It follows the same principle of operations. But the transmissions themselves are all very unique.
So this is kind of like our industry, residential property management, because when we do turns, people think you can't standardize it because each house is different and everything, the appliances are different, everything's different. But what was interesting about what you did is you took, I'm sure they thought the same thing, right when you were getting started,
100%.
like, oh, you can't standardize this, you couldn't do it all the same way in a centralized location, Fords are different than GMs, and you still were able to find a way to create standardization despite the fact that you're remaking transmissions that are not totally, but somewhat different.
Yes.
And is it just Ford and Chevy?
No, we do every make and model. I mean, we work on Mercedes, Volkswagens, Toyotas, Hondas, Acuras. It don't matter. GM, Ford, Chrysler.
So then you're assembling. Well, actually, this is driving me nuts. There's a difference between remanufactured and rebuilt, which I think is actually pertinent. It sounds like before you were rebuilding, and you brought it centralized and you remanufactured.
That would be correct. That would be correct. That's what I would say too. Rebuilding, a lot of people interchange it and think it's a play on words, and it really isn't. Rebuilding is you take something apart, figured out what's wrong with it, and you fix it and put it back together.
You snap a piece in.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, maybe more than one piece, but yeah, basically. When you remanufacture it, you're basically inspecting and bringing all the pieces up to the same quality level, and stuff. And so that's what the difference is in remanufacture. Remanufactured is always going to be better than a rebuilt.
So if a transmission's got a broken piece, do you get that from the original manufacturer for a while? And then how, because at some point Ford is going to stop producing parts, right? So then I guess I'm transitioning a little bit. So you've centralized everything. And that, if I'm putting words in your mouth, became its own beast, right?
Well, it became its own beast because we can control the quality and put out a much better quality and not rebuild stuff, which is just repaired like we did at the store. And, the other problem is when you went to hire somebody, and the people factor that we talk about, let's be realistic, all businesses depend upon people, and stuff. And, we could hire somebody, and this guy was really good on a GM product, But when a Ford came in, he wasn't as good because maybe he didn't like them, okay, or whatever the case may be. Do you think that customer really got the best transmission money could buy? Okay, no. Okay, the simple answer is no. Okay, and so all that factor goes out the window now. Okay, because you're only as good as your people. Okay, and stuff. All right. Well, the guys, when we centralize, they could specialize now. Okay, so literally, we got people doing Fords, we got people doing GMs, Hondas. Not that they're not cross-trained in other makes and models, but they specialize in that family of transmissions. Okay, doesn't have to be necessarily a GM. They might be doing one GM, one Toyota, one Volkswagen, but they specialize in that model of transmission.
So did you say no to any rebuilding and you just went straight to remanufacturing because you were focused on quality?
Once we opened up the centralized rebuilding, that is correct. We did not do what we call sometimes people, I call them patch jobs, okay? I mean, people just took it apart, fixed what's wrong, put it back in. And I'm not about an advocate for more laws. Please don't take it. But there is no laws or standards what constitutes repaired, rebuilt, remanufactured, okay, and stuff. It's really upon what your company. Now, California said, okay, you had to put in this, a couple minimal pieces, okay? That doesn't make it a good transmission or a good engine or a good whatever, okay? You couldn't legislate for it, but I mean, it's up to the quality of that company, and where do you want to come in? You want to come in as the quality leader, or you want to be known as the lowest price you can get and make it wiggle again?
But you had to say no to that business. Was that hard to say no to the business of what?
It is.
Was that a strategic decision at that point?
Of course it is. I mean, because if you don't have enough of the other work, it's hard to say no. Okay, and stuff. But like a lot of things in businesses, you have to decide what you want to become. You can't be the master to all things. You can't please everybody. Okay.
No. It's hard enough to please just one person.
Okay. There you go. Okay. I won't go there. All right.
You guys.
All right.
I can't take them anywhere, Peter.
But anytime you try to please everybody, basically you end up pleasing nobody. Okay.
Right.
And so you have to. I feel if you want to be successful, you have to pick what you want to be good at, become good at it, be known for that, and there's things that are going to fall to the wayside, okay, that don't fit that model. You probably shouldn't do it, okay? At least I think that. At least that's what I think. Okay, so.
Tell me if I'm pushing this too hard, but it ends up changing the industry to some extent, right? The centralizing.
To some extent, yes, definitely. There was one company that did it a little bit before, but they didn't own their own retail stores, okay, and stuff, and they just supplied them to other vendors, okay, and stuff. All right.
So if you have that idea that you had when you did the centralizing of the putting everything together, remanufacturing. Did you actually see your warranties go down? Like, was it a stark difference?
Oh, yes.
So it pays for itself.
Oh, yes.
That's what I would have imagined. Okay.
Yes.
And that's like the genius of that. The distributorship. So at some point, the size of the company that you are, $100 million, and you have 14, were the agencies? Shops. You have 14 shops. So I'm guessing, and I also know this, that you went from just sourcing from your own distributorship or your own manufacturing facility to a distributorship model.
Yep.
So how'd that come about?
All right.
Yeah, I want to.
Well, kept growing from the 4 stores after the centralized, got that going, and realized it's the way. So, okay, I want to open some more stores, and then we was thinking about the franchising, okay? Well, as I looked into it, now I'm a little smarter, okay, and met a few more people, and, I've never met a franchisee or a franchisor that really liked each other, okay? And I said, oh my gosh, there's got to be a better way. And both my sisters are attorneys, and, I looked at it, unless you become Subway, McDonald's, something like this, the franchisor, all you got is a lot of headaches, okay? And it seems like a lot of pissed off people that don't like working together with. And so I said, I have to come up with a better model or a different model. So basically I came up with a distributors. And so I found people around the country that wanted to emulate or duplicate what I did in Omaha and Kansas City. And so I decided to start setting up distributors to help them, and we would manufacture the transmission and they could do the marketing in their town, okay? So that way they didn't have to worry about the quality and all these kind of things. They had a great product and they could market it and under their name and certified transmission.
Oh, wow. So they I think the advantage there is people have local flair. Like
exactly.
being from Omaha, you're not going to understand the Deep South, say.
That is correct.
So it's like powered by Intel, or in your case, it's powered by certified transmission.
Yep.
So they would have like a certified transmission distributor and their ABC transmission.
That is correct.
Powered by Anequim, which is something we do with Rent Manager.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
So you bring the value, really.
And
in
the standardization
the standardization.
and the real sophisticated nature to these small outfits that really just want to help their neighbors out with their transmission. And
they're not necessarily all small. We've got a lot of distributors that are billion-dollar companies.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
so yeah. I mean, but regardless, okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I
That's funny. That is actually a real similar model that we're taking for this industry. Okay, so
when you're doing that, I mean, when you scale, you scaled fairly quickly, I'm assuming. Did it happen?
Yeah, I would say so to a point. I mean, I've never had any partners, so truthfully, cash was always the problem, just like when I started out. Guess what? That problem never goes away. Seems like as you continue to grow, okay, but.
Well, in distributorships or those shops, they're cash intensive, and especially at the front end, I'm guessing. You've got to front load everything, and you can only grow so fast without going into huge debt. So this distributorship.
Yeah, so once I figured out the distributor, that's the model we're gone to, and I've kind of scrapped the franchising, and we're not doing that, okay, and stuff. So, I mean, just works a lot better. Like you said, you have the local people there. I don't have to find the people. I don't have to find the locations, all this. We supply the product. We work together. We train them. We help them. They help us, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's a two-way street. And it's a handshake agreement. And basically, if they don't like it, that's fine. Don't buy anymore.
So when you're scaling,
or vice versa.
When you're scaling like that, what were some of the snags that you came across, and how did you solve them?
The first one was probably freight, how to get stuff back and forth.
Lead times.
Okay? Because, transmission weighs 200-300 pounds, and then lead times. Obviously, if you had your own retail store, like when I started out, you can pull the transmission out of the car, rebuild it, and then put it back in or remanufacture it, okay, and stuff. Of course, Kansas City, we had our own trucks to go back and forth every day, okay? Well, as you got a distributor in Texas or Boston or Washington or California, now you got a whole new deal, okay, and stuff. And so basically, as we've seen that model would work, I had to set up warehouses around the country that have inventory that we can do the exchange, okay, and stuff. Because it's always been an exchange. You take your old transmission out, you get it back out on the road, you get the old one from somebody else's car that was identical, remanufactured, new standards, about like brand new, put in your car. Okay, no different than going and buying a battery or a starter or an alternator, if anyone's ever done that, okay, in the group.
So that makes a lot of sense.
That is interesting.
So you're not putting the same transmission back in, you're putting the right transmission that's been remodeled.
The same right one back in.
And then you've got
not
the
a
core.
junkyard one, not a salvage yard one, okay, and stuff. Or something that's kind of close or something, or might just bolt in the actual real right one.
And then you have a core for another product, and so you'll redo that.
Manufacture to build it, put it in inventory and stuff. Everybody wants speed this day and age, okay? They can't wait 2 weeks to get their car repaired, okay, and stuff. So with having that one on the shelf ready to go, and that's what made certified so different in the very beginning also was other shops would take a week to get your car done. We could literally have you done in the same day because we had the transmission ready to go.
That's awesome. So as you're growing, how did you maintain culture? Because you were saying that you have the same employees sometimes from super long time ago. So I'm imagining you have a very strong culture. Can you tell us about your culture and how you've maintained it through the growth?
Well, culture is, of course, the lifeblood of any business, okay? As I said earlier, it's your people, okay? I do believe in being 100% transparent to them, the good, the bad, the ugly, okay? I do believe in sharing numbers with them, okay? They know how profitable or how much money we make or lose or what it costs us, okay? And with that, I believe they help respond back and respect that a lot, okay, and stuff. Really, the biggest things that they can't do is I tell them at my company, you can't steal, you can't lie to me. That's automatic termination, okay? I won't, I don't care how ugly it is, just tell me the truth, okay, and stuff, all right? We're not going to sugarcoat it, okay? We believe heavily in training. Anybody I do hire, we probably spend anywhere $30,000-$40,000 on training on every individual.
30.
Yeah, 30 or 40,000.
So is that training?
If they don't work out, we lost the money. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I still do all the hiring, all of the interviewing, and I mean I do the raw phone call. Okay.
So you're talking about like the guys in the shop.
I'm talking about even if it's, I hate to use the word janitor, but I'll use it in this term, only that everyone knows what it is.
I got you.
Every single person that works for me, okay, I take the raw phone call and meet with them.
So when you're hiring, obviously you have this down. What are the key things that you're looking for in a good hire?
That's a secret ingredient.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Obviously, the simple one, and truthfully, believe it or not, in my opinion, there's a lot of different terms you can say. If you want to get more sophisticated, is that people will say motivation, drive. You got to have a little ego, a little pride.
Can you tell that always in an interview? Because everybody knows.
You can tell that within 30 seconds you meet a person, okay? If a person has energy, okay? If you don't have energy, nothing happens, first of all, okay? I mean, your car don't move with no gas, okay? If you're out of gas, okay, give me that Red Bull to get charged up or whatever or something. I mean, no energy, nothing's going to happen, okay, and stuff.
So that's the number one thing.
Yeah, I mean, integrity and honesty and all them things are much harder and take a lot longer, but you can just tell if a person has energy around them, okay? You can tell it by how they walk. Okay, do they lollygag along, or are they ambitious to get there? Okay, and stuff. You don't have to be well dressed. I don't mean in a suit and tie. I don't look for that, obviously. But, you can tell a lot about a person by how they carry themselves, okay, and stuff, and how they just interact. Are they polite to the person up front when they came in the door? If they're not, and they're already a grouch, do you really think they're going to change? Probably not. Okay. You can tell so much in 30 seconds. Truthfully, if an interview goes for 15 minutes with somebody, sometimes it's just being kind. Okay. Because I could tell 30 seconds ago, I mean, in the first 30 seconds, you weren't the right person. Okay.
But you just keep.
Can I be misled once in a blue moon? But, I don't mean say first impressions, but first impressions, really. Everyone has it, okay?
So in a sense, they really are all still working for you.
Well,
your employees.
That's true. There's no ownership. There's no stock sharing or any of that stuff. That is correct.
So,
they're all still employees. Now, we do incentivize for bonuses. We got very great pay structure at our place, okay, and stuff. But money can't be the only motivating factor either. But it does help.
Not the only currency. That's how I usually. Some people like the flexibility. Some people like extra money. Some people like liking their work partner or whatever, which is all.
And I also tell people you have to do what you like, not be motivated for money. You say, well, doctor makes great money. Okay, well, but if I don't like being around blood and everything else or stuff, okay, that's probably not the right thing for me, okay, and stuff. If you can go after a couple things I tell people, what is your passion, and then what is your natural ability? And if you can line those two up, okay, you got a win-win. I mean, that person's going to go far. And that's what I really look for in the interview, okay? I mean, I start with the energy, okay? But then I want to find out, why do you want to do whatever? And it doesn't matter. I mean, we have welders, we have machinists, we have parts people, we have shipping people, okay? And they're all different, okay, and stuff. And if I try to take a guy that's a parts guy and try to make him a transmission guy, doesn't work. That's not his passion. I tell people all the time, you got to go after your passion. What do you really want to do? Hopefully your natural ability lines up with that, because then it's a more plus, okay? But it isn't a game changer. You can overcome it with training and just keep driving if that's your passion, okay? Discipline, okay, and stuff.
Yeah. So this transparency, my gut instinct is that there must be some sort of a downside, like jealousy. Do people get frustrated? You've obviously done well for yourself. You have aircraft, you have cars, and those are things that are obvious signs of success. Does anybody ever get in your grill about how you don't deserve that, or does it ever demotivate any of them and become a problem?
I'm sure it has, okay? It hasn't really played out. Usually, there's going to be other factors that they're not going to be on the team, okay? Because they weren't a team player to start with, okay? They might have had it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way also, okay? When we talked about energy and different things, a couple of unique things that I do is if I hire somebody, we tell them, okay, I'm very strict about attendance, okay? We're not the company to come and be flexible, okay? I'm going to tell you that right up front, okay, and stuff. Second, you will work real hard, but you'll get rewarded real well also, okay, and stuff. But in your first 90 days, if you have 4 tardies with me, you're automatically terminated. Don't care what the reason is. Don't care if you overslept, the alarm didn't go off, car didn't start, dog ate your shoe. You have 4 of them, you're out the door. 8 o'clock is your start time, 8:01 is tardy. Don't care. You have 4 of them, you're out the door. I'm going to tell you right now, you might think that's a crazy, crazy, crazy policy, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably one of the most successful things I've ever done because it really gets rid of a lot of the stuff that you were just talking about, okay, and stuff, all right? And, I'll even go to one guy that I won't leave his name out, but he's still with me. He worked for a competitor here in town, and he was always late, always about 15, 20 minutes. So the boss said, you know what, you never can get here at 8 o'clock, let's just start you at 8:30. When do you think he showed up for work?
8:45.
Yeah.
Well, things weren't working out real well over there for him, and so he came over to my place. I said, okay, I know who you are, and I said, you're a great guy, blah, 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 but you got a reputation of being late. And I said, you won't last till day 4 at my place. 15 years later, he's still here, never been late.
So you
know what? Some of it is you got to set the standard. They got to understand what's going to happen, the consequence, not zap them, but you tell people up front, you come to this edge, you're going to fall on the floor or whatever the edge is if you go past that, okay? If people understand a lot of times what is going to happen to them, I do believe most people probably won't let that happen to them. They might take you to the edge, okay, but they're not going over it. Okay?
Everybody can see down and everyone's got...
and the next thing is you can't implement it half-assed, okay? Because, this is my right-hand guy. No. Or he's more important than, again, I hate using the word janitor, but I'll say janitor. No. It has to be 100% equal. And we have no rules between, I hate using the word employee. I use team. They're all team members, okay? We don't have employees in management. We only have team members, okay? Mm-hmm. Everyone's equal. There's not a different set of rules for managers than there is for regular employees. And I don't use either one of those words, but I use them for what we're talking about that the audience can understand. We don't have us and them. We're a team, okay?
And so that's how you instill all the parts are lubricated just like in the transmission.
100%.
Like if one of them's breaking down inside the transmission,
the different
you've got
cogs help show the flaws, and they're not part of the team. So
what did you just say? The different flaws? No, wait, what? What is that one? Okay, we got to listen to that.
The different cogs show the flaws.
Okay, they do. Okay. Gwen, you wanted to ask a question.
I just wanted to ask, all entrepreneurs make a big boneheaded move at some point. What would you say your boneheaded move was?
Wow, I made lots of mistakes, I'll say, along the way.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is I feel I've learned from them real quickly, okay, that I try not to make the same mistake like most people, okay, but some people seem to be a little more stubborn than others, it seems like, okay, but I hate saying this, but I will tell you, I think in the beginning when I started out, when I was really critical and almost took me out 2 or 3 times, when I was just a small guy, one shop, everything, I trusted people that didn't know anything about what I was trying to do or where I wanted to go and put too much stock into it. And so I didn't do what I knew I should have done in my heart and my soul and my gut, okay, all that. And so, there's a lot of naysayers, okay, that you can't do that.
Oh,
it won't
for
work,
sure.
Okay, and I'm going to just say in the beginning, I tried to listen to all those and I wouldn't have made it. Okay, guaranteed. Once I learned to kind of turn that off, I mean, to me, that was huge. Okay. Is that one thing? I think it is. Okay, you got to turn off all the clutter, all the stuff out there that's distracting you. Okay, and if it's your passion, you understand it, you understand what you're doing, what the market really is, all them kind of things. Then the sky's the limit. Okay, and then go for it.
So that was your passion. Like you had envisioned a much larger scaled operation, and if you would have taken their advice, would it have kept you more status quo, more the local shop, maybe have two in the same market? Is that the sort of?
I wouldn't probably even have two. Okay?
Oh, okay. So
I mean, and that wasn't my goal when I was 19. My goal was to be kind of like my instructor, get my own shop,
right.
Maybe a 5,000 square foot place, 5-6 guys. And work on cars and make a living. Okay,
when was it that you made the shift to, no, we're going to make this big?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Truthfully, I'll have to say, when I seen that, I hate to say a transmission could turn into a commodity, but you could turn it into a commodity. And I kind of realized that right away when I started seeing we could rebuild it and separate it. But again, like my instructor, that was so awesome for me. The one attorney that was a personal friend, when he was trying to push me into franchising to be bigger than what I could ever dream of, okay, or something, okay, and he's seen the potential to do it, so he helped me. In some ways, everyone else was all negative and 100%, and so, that's what got me to start my second store because of him, okay, and the third store.
So he helped you set the vision.
Yeah, he helped develop the vision, but you got to realize, again, I wasn't exposed to a lot of stuff, okay? I mean, I was 19 when I started. We're talking age 21 when I opened my second store, okay, and stuff. And so, he helped develop it because I really wasn't exposed to businesses or how to do things, okay?
Right.
And
no formal education.
No formal education. Didn't like to read. Still don't really like to read, okay, But I mean, so you're limited in what you're going to learn, okay, and what okay, and stuff. And so those are probably my biggest mistakes, okay, I would say.
It also sounds like you have a pretty good read on yourself. Did you spend a lot of time like just knowing who you were and what your passions were so that you could align it with what you were doing?
Were you into mindfulness back then?
I was not into mindfulness to do that. I was actually fortunate that it happened, I would say, more automatically, okay, not because I'm in the automatic transmission business, but I mean, but seriously, I would say I was fortunate that the two lined up, okay, and stuff, more so than, no, I wasn't really mindful of it. I became mindful as we started becoming more successful. Okay?
So,
and things working.
And I guess, so what is it, was there a point when you felt comfortable being wealthy? Because, I mean, especially coming up from the more meager end of the social spectrum, I think, and up to the level where you are, do you carry with a little guilt? Is anything holding you back a little bit, and then you're just kind of like, screw it, I'm rich.
I first of all, I do believe in taking care of our people and helping our communities, okay? So, obviously, the more a business or a person can have, the more help you can do. So I don't feel that way, okay? I've never felt that way in screwing other people. If anything, I want to take care of all my people 100% the best that's possible, okay? And I think we do a pretty good job at that, okay? Again, like I said early in the movie or the statement earlier in the show, people is all we have, okay, and stuff. Without them, we couldn't do anything, okay, and so I want to take care of them. So I share a lot, okay, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. So we were making fun of this earlier. Like, if you're with Peter and you have a booger, you won't have a booger very long unless you want it there because he'll let you know.
I didn't say that. I said if you got bad breath.
You got bad breath. I put the booger.
You got a booger too to be polite.
I wish more people. Wouldn't that be better if more people were like that?
A last question, just because we're running out of time. But what mistakes do you see most often other business owners make?
Scared to death to move forward because, again, kind of what I was trying to allude to, people saying, no, you can't do that. And if I believe, as long as it's legal, as long as you want to do it, that you can make it done. I mean, the difference between a dream and a goal is you got to have a plan. Once you start working that plan, but The next thing is adjust your plan. When things are going a little awry, you got to adjust the plan. I've seen too many people try to stay on the same plan, never adjust, and so determined, I'm going to make it work. No, you got to adjust, okay? I tell a lot of people, I'm like the Patriot missile. It goes back to the first Gulf War, okay? Not getting political or anything, okay? But the Patriot missile was always off course, but when it came time to hit the target, it hit the target. That's what I tell people I am. I'm constantly off target, but I'm constantly adjusting and adapting, okay, on stuff. And once you do that, I do believe you'll be successful once you realize that. Trying to say, I'm staying on this highway no matter what, I don't think is the right answer.
So that contrasted with the Scud missile of Iraq, when that thing would go up like this and land anywhere. The Iraqi missiles sucked ass.
I think we came up with the Patriot.
We did. Ours was right. Yeah, ours was good. Yours, that was the right one. Okay, one quick question. What's your favorite car in your collection?
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, I got to say my 1970 Formula 400 Firebird. Like I said from the beginning of the show, that one is what started it all. You take that one out, okay, then you want I collect late 60s, early 70s, and then all the new muscle. The new cars are awesome. I mean, without itself and everything. Yeah, the Ford GT, that one would have to be probably number one. If you go with the old cars, I'm a Superbird guy. I like the big wing on it. Okay,
is that right?
Pointy nose. Okay, so those are my two favorite.
All right. So I've loved this. I've enjoyed this. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much,
Peter, for coming in. I am Jeremy Aspen. This is Gwen Aspen. We are the host of Bootstrappers. We'll see you next week.
This has been Bootstrappers, a unique presentation designed to help you better understand how the world turns. Contact Gwen or Jeremy at hosts@bootstrappers.club or visit our website, Anequim.net. Be sure to subscribe to our podcasts on Apple, Google Play, Spotify, and our YouTube channel. Thank you, and join us next time for Bootstrappers.